Hey guys, welcome to Relax into Sensuality, your adventure in purity. This week has been so intense with so many different kinds of craziness going on about sex for me. Holy cow, because of our these videos, so much has come up and I can't wait to dive into it with you. I want to talk about lust. Maybe you've seen my posts. I have been posting on social media trying to figure out what people think about lust and really challenging my own belief about lust. I have lived in I think a very limited place when it comes to lust. I have kept myself in a box because of fear. I have thought that I need to stay within these certain limits or else I might get myself into trouble. Lust is bad. That's what I've thought. And as it turns out, I even did a poll and it was almost 50-50, but leaning towards bad. Lust is bad. Do you think lust is bad? Let's just look at this a little bit. I have always thought lust is bad. And here's what I've seen. I was led to look at the definition of lust as it pertains to religion and scriptures and the Christian background. And lust, every time it's referred to in the scriptures, is used as a verb. And to lust after something generally entails selfishness. Basically, every single scriptural reference that I saw to lust meant wanting stuff that wasn't yours, wanting people that weren't yours. It was selfish. However, in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of lust is completely different. There is the verb aspect, and then there's the feeling aspect, or it's a noun, it's a feeling, which is a strong desire for sexual pleasure. I actually wrote it down exactly. I want to say exactly what I wrote. A very strong sexual desire. So lust as a feeling versus lust as a verb. I found this really interesting. The reason I got into this was because I was trying to define that feeling that you get lots of different times. Basically, I was full of this feeling all through my teenage years. And like the first time I held hands with a boy, the first time I kissed a boy, the first time I held hands with my, who would become my husband. Even the feeling of kissing him on our wedding day across the altar. It's this physical feeling. It's tingly all over. It's warm, and it feels like fire. And I've had so many different phrases thrown at me, you guys, this week as I've been doing this research. It's not lust, it's passion, what you're describing. It's not lust, it's desire. It's sexual desire. It's physical desire. It's sexual attraction. It's physical attraction. It's libido. I've had all these terms thrown at me. And for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call that feeling the feeling of lust, because that to me seems to, in the English language, define what I am describing. And this has blown my mind because I have always thought that lust was bad. I was not able to make the separation of lust as a verb and lust as a feeling. And so my whole life, when I felt those feelings, as much as I love them, who can't, right? They're designed, they were given to us in this body to feel really good so that we would reproduce. As much as I love that feeling, I also associated it with being bad. And I also associated it with some fear and being unsafe. And I come from crazy background, lots of sexual trauma in lots of different areas. And I would guess that if you have experienced any kind of sexual trauma or even bad touch of any kind throughout your life, that with the feeling of lust triggers either shame, feeling really guilty, or fear. And it's interesting because some of the world takes that feeling and then leans into it, believes I'm so bad, I'm just going to let myself go. And then a lot of times we'll make really promiscuous choices. And the other half of us completely shut down, stonewall up, and push people away. And I think that's me. And what's interesting is this has been translated into all forms of touch. So it's hard for me to touch my kids. It's harder for me to touch my friends. It's hard for me when I'm receiving touch from my husband to come up behind me anytime I'm cooking or cleaning or doing anything. And he touches me, I immediately get tense. Touch is really hard for me. That's been the direction that I've taken it. Because any kind of touch that leads to lust makes me feel scared or guilty, so it's all bad, right? So many of the decisions, conscious and unconscious, that I and my husband made were to basically shut lust out of our lives. We don't listen to songs that evoke that feeling. We don't watch shows that evoke that feeling. Even passionate kissing on TV, I'm like, nope, gotta turn it off. And I've been that way since I can remember because of fear of lust. So this has been a huge discovery for me. And I think what really brought it home for me, I also have always felt like my body is bad. And that's been a whole journey. I'm in eating disorder recovery, and for so long, just the idea of even taking care of my body has been really hard for me. Like, I wouldn't even make time to pee. I wouldn't make time to eat. I wouldn't make time to sleep. I always used to say, I'll sleep when I die. Like, it's such a nuisance. I don't have time to sleep. And I've been healing that relationship with my body. As I heal that relationship with my body, all of a sudden I find like I have all these senses that I've just been ignoring. To be able to hear beautiful things, to smell things, to taste things, and to touch things. And I had kind of walled up all of that. Now I'm breaking it down, and I'm finding there's this beautiful thing called the feeling of lust that I have pushed out of my life. And I don't want to keep doing that anymore. So this week, this is actually my personal challenge to myself that I have already started just a few days ago. And just talked to my husband about, we got on the same page about it, because it's scary. Lust feels like it has to be bad, right? Everyone says it's bad. And, you know, my husband and his addiction recovery and everything is like, we got to protect ourselves from this thing. And what I've seen is in all that protecting, we have pushed ourselves away from each other, my husband and I. I don't know, what is a marriage without having that fire? We are really good at being best friends, but that's not why we married each other. Like best friends who have sex every once in a while. That's kind of what we've been. So we're on the same page now. The challenge, my personal challenge, and you're welcome to join me if you want to, is to lean into lust. That's what I'm doing this week. That's what I might be doing for the next little while. Leaning into lust. Not the selfish verb of lust, but when I get that feeling, I'm gonna let him touch me. I'm gonna touch him, and I'm gonna let that feeling exist in me, and then I'm gonna just feel whatever feelings come up as a result of that. And it's a little bit scary because those feelings are not comfortable. The fear and the shame. Just because I'm deciding to lean into lust doesn't mean those aren't going to show up for me anymore. They do, and they already have. Just this morning, I had a little crying episode with my spouse before he left for work, and we cried, and he held me, and then we moved on, and life goes on. And that's all it really takes, guys. So if you're interested in inviting this passion, this lust, this connection and chemistry back into your marriage, then maybe you might want to try leaning into the feeling of lust alongside me, and I would love to support any of you in this journey. See you next week.